Good morning. I'm Henry Neufeld, president of Pacesetters Bible School, and this is Running Toward the Goal. Today, please welcome Elgin Hushbeck in his regular series of Friday morning podcasts on Christian apologetics.
In the first two parts of my review of Part 1 of Zeitgeist the movie, I showed how the movie's faulty and at times dishonest use of evidence is behind their false claims. Towards the end of this part, the movie turns into more standard, though nonetheless false, attacks on Christianity. This section opens with an unidentified and unseen speaker ridiculing Christian beliefs about creation and the supposed attempts at defending it. Even if this unidentified speaker's depiction is accurate, it simply does not follow logically that there is no support or that the Christian beliefs are false. Whether this part of the movie commits the fallacy of straw man argument or the fallacy of hasty generalization, it remains fallacious. The movie then turns to parallels once again, trying to link Jesus and Joseph. Again, this reveals the problems with such parallels. The movie claims that both Jesus and Joseph had a miracle birth. That Jesus was born of a virgin certainly qualifies as a miracle, but Joseph was born to Jacob in his old age. Yet these are treated as if they are the same. Then there is the stretch that Judas suggested sale to try and make the parallel line up. From there, the movie attempts to claim that Jesus did not exist. Again, while popular claim during the 19th and early 20th centuries, it has now been pretty much refuted. Even Michael Martin, a recent supporter of this view, admits that the view is highly controversial and not widely accepted. A huge problem is that none of the early opponents of Christianity ever made this argument. As I pointed out in my book, Christianity and Secularism, after reviewing what the early critics say, what we see with many of the non-Christian sources is an acceptance of the claims of Christianity with an attempt to provide an alternative explanation. Even the discussion of Josephus is simplified and distorted. The movie claims it had been proven to be a forgery for hundreds of years. The problem is that Josephus has two references to Christ. The first pretty clearly has been changed by Christians because it is too pro-Christian to have been written by a Jew. Yet the other passage refers to Jesus in a derogatory way, and it would not have been written by a Christian. So it appears that while Christians did change the first passage, it was a change and not a complete insertion. And thus Josephus did make some reference to Jesus. After another nameless, faceless voice calling Christianity a Roman story, the movie begins to make one false claim after another about the history of Christianity. It starts with the standard conspiratorial line that the Council of Nicaea established the Christian doctrines as a mean of social control. Again, as I describe in Christianity and Secularism, the Council of Nicaea did not create any new doctrines, but merely reaffirmed old doctrines as the official position of the Church. This is not simply a matter of belief or conjecture. All one has to do is read the early Church Fathers who wrote long before the councils to see this. From this falsehood, the movie then makes the absurd claim that for 1,600 years the Vatican maintained a political stranglehold on all of Europe. There are many problems here, but for one, at the time of the Council of Nicaea, the Roman bishops had not yet really claimed a primacy for themselves, and it would be hundreds of years before the office of Pope came to resemble what it does today. So to talk of a Vatican stranglehold this early is silly. In fact, it was not until 1054 AD that you really get the Roman Catholic Church when it split with the Eastern Church. Another problem is 1,600 years after 325 AD would be 1925. But just how did the Vatican maintain a political stranglehold on all of Europe when you had the Reformation? Or what about the Avignon captivity, where the kings of France so dominated the church that the popes had to move to Avignon for 70 years? The simple fact is that the movie's history is not just simplistic, it is wrong. Things were much more complex than the movie implies. Nor do the errors end there, for the movie begins to recite a list of crimes of the church. The Dark Ages, the Crusades, the Inquisition. Space here does not permit a complete discussion of these myths and distortions, which are discussed in my books. But for example, historians have long since realized that the Dark Ages never happened, but this was a pejorative label and false view of history from those in the Enlightenment. This period, which is now more correctly called the Middle Ages, was actually a dynamic and complex intermingling of three forces: the failing Roman society, the invading barbarian society, and Christianity, all trying to recover civilization following the collapse of Rome. So to claim that Christianity brought on the Dark Ages is simply historically false. Likewise with the Crusades and even the Inquisition, things are not quite so simplistic as the movie implies. This is not to commit the opposite error of the movie and say that everything the church did was good. It wasn't, and great evil has been done by Christians over the centuries. But if you look at both the positive and the negative, the church has on the whole been a strong force for good. In summary, the movie is, in the end, little more than a series of falsehoods, distortions, and faulty reasoning. It does not even hold up to a cursory examination, much less a detailed one, and none of its claims can be supported. This is Elgin Hushbeck asking you to consider Christianity a faith based on fact.
You have been listening to Elgin Hushbeck Jr. on Running Toward the Goal, sponsored by Pacesetters Bible School in Pensacola, Florida. For more information on Elgin's books or to arrange for him to speak at your church, check the Running Toward the Goal blog at running.biblepacesetter.org. Again, that's running.biblepacesetter.org. Thanks for listening, and may God richly bless you.